Welcome to Quick and Dirty Land Cruisers. Today we are changing the oil on the A Series Land Cruiser. We've been using the lift over here, but we've got the 100 Series up. I'm about to do a brake project on it, and these trucks are so high up, so it's been a big deal to just get under it and get it done. So here we go. We're going to be using the Toyota factory oil filter. And I am using 5W30, and it takes 7.6 quarts. It's got 5,000 miles on a synthetic change here, so some guys could go you could go a little bit longer. This is a new engine, so I'm just changing a little bit newer or a little bit sooner, just to make sure if there's any leftover pieces of metal inside or something, just to be on the up and up. But here we go. All right, first thing I want to do is get the oil filter. Now the oil filter's on this side underneath the intake. I like to take the oil filter off first because it's going to leak a lot of oil, and I've got my drain pan underneath with a towel underneath, trying to minimize the mess. So I'm going to take it out first and let it drain in the pan, and then drain the oil from the oil pan. So sometimes you can get in here with your, sometimes you can twist that, sometimes you gotta have the tool. Sometimes I can get it with my hands. So I'm going to get this thing on it, and it's kind of tucked in here pretty good. Position properly. Just need to get a little twist on it to break it free. Well, that one's not working that great, so we're going to use the other one. Can't remember which one worked better. So now I've got this guy here. Put it on the ratchet. And we'll try this. This might work a little easier. Yeah, if you want to, you can get the camera in here closer. I don't know if you can see this, but here is the oil filter. I've got the ratchet on it. About to give it a good little twist to break it free. I might actually go underneath the truck. Here it is right here. It's underneath this intake manifold. I don't know if we can see it there, but anyways, I'm going to crawl underneath the truck. Miss getting oil on our head. Problems with the oil filter. It's been more of a bear than I thought. Okay, you got the oil filter off. It's a little hairy getting in there. You gotta kind of work it a little bit with a oil filter wrench, but anyways, we got the new filter here. I always get these Toyota filters. I think all my Land Cruisers take the same filter. They're really cheap. I don't have much of an opinion on oil brands, but I do have an opinion on which oil filter to use on these 100 series, these 80 series for sure. I would not use any other filter brand, personally, from my experience. I had an old engine. This is a new engine, and the old engine went bad, and it was due to maybe a Fram oil filter, possibly. I don't know if that's for sure, but I'm gonna have that fixed now. But from now on, I always go with the factory Toyota oil filter. They're not expensive. They're the same price as any other filter. So I always go back with the Toyota oil filter. New stuff flavor. Anyways, we'll put this on. It's got a nice little wrapping on it. Make sure it's nice and clean. They even grease the seal on it. So you don't have to run a little bead of oil. All right. Get under here and just twist this thing on. And get it lined up. Okay, just want to hand tighten this. Just get it snug. It's usually good enough. Still hard to get off when it's time to change it next time. So now, on to drain the oil. And can't remember if it's a 14 or 17 inch socket. And I lost my socket. Where'd my ratchet go? I found my ratchet, wiping the oil off my axle from the. Take that off, that was useless. Didn't need it. But let's see here. Okay, I'm just gonna roll in here. Try not to get oil on me. Should probably be wearing such a nice favorite hat while I'm doing this, but I tend to always do this. Okay, this is a 14 millimeter. And a nice little this. Gotta make sure this thing is lined up and get my towel. Somehow I always make a mess here. So just get a towel or an old shop towel or something. I always end up missing it, or I go off and I let it drain, and I don't know, it just makes a mess. All right, now we're draining. See, I already got oil on the concrete right here. So and you use this towel to wipe your hands off. And wipe the oil that you splattered all over your old pan. So, draining good there. We'll drain it a little faster. Sometimes it's good to open up. Crack this thing open. Sometimes it allows air to pull through and let that oil drain a little quicker. So my take on the oil is to use 5W30, 7.6 quarts on this 97 model Land Cruiser 80 series. There's lots of opinions on oil. You read for days on the mud forums about that. Lots of different opinions. I think the general consensus is just change it on a regular basis. Fresh oil is good, and most oil is all about the same. Just make sure you're using the kind that's certified properly and it's got the right viscosity, and change it. Don't run it too long. So letting the oil drain. It might take a few minutes. We'll come back to that. So when I first got this truck, it did have a Fram oil filter on it. There is reference on the forums that is the death can oil filter. So, and it was on my engine when a bearing spun. Now, I don't know if it really caused it. I'm not gonna say it did. Could have been, heck, it could have already had the problem. I don't know. The seller could have sold me a bad truck. And I'll do a video on that process eventually here. But I'm just gonna say I don't use anything but the Toyota filter. So, and that's what I recommend. Okay, we're drained, got all the oil out. Let's plug back on. I'm gonna get a camera view maybe from that side of the plug underneath here. I don't know if the camera can see very well, but right here. Give it a good. This is a steel oil pan. You can get it pretty snug. This actually calls for 18 pounds of torque, which isn't much. Just need to get it good and snug, pretty tight. I mean, just decently tight. Just don't over torque it. Not go crazy. It's not an aluminum oil pan that you can strip as easily, but you still strip these if you go crazy. Okay, now we're ready for fresh, wonderful oil. Lid on that. We'll dispose of that later. Or pour it in the backyard. Just kidding. Just kidding. I would never do that. That is totally a joke. Okay. The cap even says 5W30. So I stick with that. I sometimes use these things. They always get dusty sitting around the shop, so I wipe them out. Got my rags down here. The nice about having your pan on a towel is you can just pull it right out from under the truck and you don't have to crawl underneath it. If your back hurts like mine does a little bit. I'm getting up there a little bit in age. Sometimes these things work good, sometimes they don't. Like, let's say it doesn't, can't even stick it in there hardly. There's a little, you can kind of get that in there, but it's not that great. But we'll work with it. Okay. Let's pull this truck's got a pretty good lift on it, so unfortunately, I'm working on it. You gotta get a stepping stool unless you're really tall, because I'm not. Pull the caps off. These things always make me nervous. They never had stuff fall in there, but just kind of. I want to put paper or plastic in my, well, I spilled some already. So we're putting, this is a 5-quart jug, so we'll fill it up. Okay, we got our fresh, clean, nice oil back in. Now let's just crank it up, check for leaks. Usually doesn't leak, but always good. Crank it up, check. So, all right, let's get in here. Not to trip over your oil pan. Got everything on. We got the gas, we got the oil filter tight. We've got the oil cap, filler cap on the top of the engine, snug and tight. We've got the drain plug in. So we've got oil. It's safe to crank. down here and sure, don't see anything, don't feel anything. Looking good. Good there. Take your breath. Good, thanks for watching. Quick Dirty Land Cruisers. Please subscribe to my channel. Like this video. Okay, after you've got the engine warmed up, let the oil drain back into the oil pan. Give it, 30 minutes. Come back out. Check your dipstick. Just check the levels on the dipstick. Just make sure they come right underneath the max, right at the max mark. And it should be good. If it's less than, if it goes down to the min mark, then you're port low.